The roses smelled too sweet that night, almost suffocating in their abundance. Strings of white lace curled around the trellises in my parents' estate garden, and the air shimmered under the glow of chandeliers suspended from clear canopies. A string quartet played something soft and expensive, each note timed perfectly with the popping of champagne corks. Every detail of my sister Chloe's wedding was designed to scream legacy, wealth, and perfection. I stood at the far edge of the reception, navy dress simple and understated, a glass of champagne untouched in my hand. At 42, I had grown used to blending into the background at family events. Not that I was invited to many. To most of the people here, I was the middle child who never lived up to the Williams name. The one who ran off to chase an unrealistic dream in technology. The family disappointment. The invisible one. Invisible, until tonight. From where I sat, I could see my father, Charles Williams, beaming in the center of it all. A man of authority and pride, the founder of Monroe Tech, a company he'd built from a small repair shop into a multimillion-dollar empire. He lifted his glass, and immediately the chatter dimmed. When Charles Williams spoke, people listened. Always. Tonight, he began, voice rich with satisfaction, we don't just celebrate Chloe and Kyle. We celebrate the continuation of a legacy. A family built on strength, vision, and success. The crowd leaned forward, hungry for what came next. He paused, dramatic as ever, before delivering the bombshell. I'm proud to announce that Monroe Tech has officially been sold. $50 million. The deal is done. Applause erupted. Cameras flashed. The guests clapped as if they had witnessed history. My father basked in the glow, lifting his glass higher. But then his eyes flicked toward me, and his smile twisted into something sharper. As for inheritance, he said, his voice carrying across the tables, Chloe and Kyle are taken care of. Madison too. But Kate. He let my name hang like smoke in the air. Kate gets nothing. The laughter began softly, then swelled like a cruel tide. Some chuckled into their champagne. Madison smirked openly. Even Chloe looked away, biting her lip as if embarrassed for me. My mother's face remained carefully blank, though I caught the flicker of her eyes dropping to the table. Once moments like this would have burned me alive. Once I would have left in silence, carrying humiliation like a second skin. But not tonight. I rose slowly, steadying my glass, letting the laughter fade into murmurs. My heart was calm, my voice clear. Who's buying Monroe Tech, Dad? He chuckled, certain of his power. Everest Holdings. Silicon Valley firm. They move fast, wrote the check this morning. I nodded, then lifted my glass high. Then allow me to congratulate myself, I said. I am Everest Holdings. Silence. Utter silence. Forks dropped. Gasps rippled through the garden. My father's grin froze, disbelief flickering into confusion, then something dangerously close to fear. Chloe stared as if she'd seen a ghost. Madison's smirk vanished. My mother's lips parted, but no words came. I didn't flinch. I didn't gloat. I simply let them sit with it, let them taste the weight of the truth they had never considered possible. They had spent decades erasing me. Tonight, they had no choice but to see me. And to understand how I got here, you need to know where I came from. Growing up in the Williams household was like living in a glass case, polished on the outside, suffocating on the inside. Madison, my eldest sister, was everything my parents could have ever wanted. Refined, glamorous, a perfect accessory for the family name. Chloe, the youngest, was the golden child. Sweet, charming, adored for simply existing. She could do no wrong. And then there was me. Too blunt, too curious, too smart for my own good. At 10, I was solving math problems seniors struggled with. At 14, I was writing algorithms my teachers couldn't even understand. But brilliance was never the currency my family valued. Madison brought status. Chloe brought charm. Brought headaches. I remember one night when I was 16, staying up until dawn to build a prototype for an inventory tracking system. It wasn't just theory, it worked. I was sure it could save Monroe Tech millions in wasted labor. I printed diagrams, polished my presentation, and sat across from my father in his study, nerves buzzing with hope. "Dad," I said, showing him the mock interface, "this could revolutionize." He didn't look up from his glass of scotch. He let me finish only halfway before cutting in with a kind of smile that wasn't a smile at all. "Kate," he said, shaking his head, "don't mistake your little projects for real business. Life isn't about being clever. It's about being useful. And frankly, I don't see where you fit." The words stung so sharply I could feel them burn into my chest. But I didn't cry in front of him. I nodded, thanked him for his time, and left the room with the pages tucked under my arm. That night, I ripped them to shreds, each tear echoing like a verdict. My mother, Eleanor, never stepped in. She was elegance incarnate. Smiles at dinners, pearls around her neck, voice soft as silk. But when it came to defending me, she was silent. Once I asked her why. Her answer still haunts me. "You're strong, Kate. Stronger than you know. You'll be fine." But I didn't want to just be fine. I wanted to be seen. When I finally left home at 23, it wasn't with fanfare. It wasn't even with tears. After yet another dinner where I was called an embarrassment to the family brand, I packed a single suitcase. No one stopped me. No one followed. I left behind the mansion, the company, and any illusion of belonging. For weeks, I lived in a converted garage behind a crumbling duplex. The roof leaked when it rained, and in winter I could see my breath in the air. I worked long shifts at a distribution warehouse, hauling boxes for minimum wage. Nights I returned to that garage, ate instant noodles, and coded until my eyes blurred. I pitched ideas to investors who laughed me out of the room. Others pretended to back me, only to scam me out of what little I had. My savings bled dry. I was exhausted, broke, and invisible all over again. One night, staring at myself in a cracked bathroom mirror, I gripped the sink to steady my shaking hands. My reflection looked hollow, gaunt cheeks, tired eyes, but there was something else there too, a spark that refused to die. "I will build this again," I whispered. "And this time no one will stop me." That was the night everything changed. Pain became fuel. Rejection became fire. And slowly resilience began to take root. Leaving the Williams name behind wasn't enough. To truly build, I needed to erase Kate Williams, the overlooked daughter, and become someone no one could dismiss. That's when I created Eliza Stone. Eliza was everything Kate wasn't allowed to be. Sharp, unyielding, untouchable. She wasn't the middle child of a powerful family. She was a mystery, a strategist, a woman no one could place, no one could underestimate. And under that name, Everest Holdings was born. I didn't chase flashy ventures the way my father's circle did, burning millions on apps that died before they lived.
Well,
I studied the cracks, the hidden arteries of commerce. Warehouses, freight routes, supply chains, the unglamorous infrastructure that made everything else possible. If Monroe Tech was the crown jewel, I went after the mines that produced the gold. First it was survival, a struggling freight company here, a neglected storage facility there. Small acquisitions no one paid attention to. But I knew their worth. With my algorithms, I could predict demand before clients even knew they had it. I could streamline delivery so efficiently it made competitors look like dinosaurs. And slowly, Everest became indispensable. By the third year, companies that had once courted Monroe Tech began signing with us instead. Logistics executives whispered about our unmatched precision, about the mysterious Eliza Stone who never missed. Monroe dismissed the rumors, until their own clients started drifting away. The irony was exquisite. Monroe Tech's own empire ran on systems they didn't even know I controlled. Their warehouses stored goods in facilities I owned. Their shipments moved through carriers I managed. My software, those little projects my father had once mocked, became the silent backbone of his world. And yet no one saw me. Not my family. Not the industry press. Not even the men I negotiated with, who assumed Eliza Stone was some faceless executive behind polished emails and impossible margins. I relished it. Invisibility had once been my curse. Now it was my weapon. While my father boasted about Monroe's dominance, while Madison flaunted her luxury, while Chloe was adored for her charm, I was the ghost pulling the strings behind the curtain. By the time Monroe Tech began to falter, Everest Holdings was an empire. I could have crushed them outright, revealed myself, and enjoyed the shock. But I didn't. Because Everest wasn't built out of vengeance. It was built out of necessity. Out of survival. Out of the stubborn, unshakable refusal to be dismissed. Still, when the opportunity presented itself, I didn't hesitate. I didn't build Everest to destroy them. But when the moment came, I knew exactly what to do. The ballroom was silent after my words. Not the kind of silence that follows a speech or a song, but the heavy, stunned stillness of people watching their world tilt on its axis. My father, Charles Williams, the man who once dismissed me with a smirk, sat frozen, eyes darting as if the ground beneath him had suddenly given way. For the first time in my life, I saw something in him I'd never seen before. Fear. Madison's polished facade cracked, her hand clutching her champagne flute so tightly I thought it might shatter. Chloe, the darling, the adored, stared wide-eyed, lips parted, as if she couldn't decide whether to cry or laugh. And my mother, pale, trembling, her gaze falling to the floor. She had always been silent, but now even silence couldn't protect her. I didn't gloat. I didn't scream. I simply stood there, holding my glass, letting the truth settle like dust over a battlefield. For once, I didn't crave their approval. I didn't need it. The power was mine, and it wasn't in their hands to give or take. The irony was almost poetic. The daughter they erased, the one they treated as invisible, had become the architect of everything they depended on. The same child my father dismissed as not real business, had quietly bought the foundation of his empire. But as I stood there, something shifted inside me. The victory wasn't the money. It wasn't the power or the whispered awe of the crowd. My true triumph was freedom. Freedom from the endless hunger for their recognition. Freedom from the ache of trying to belong. I no longer needed them to see me, because I had already seen myself. I raised my glass one final time and turned, not to my family, but to the room. If you've ever been underestimated, dismissed, or told you're not enough, I said, my voice steady, resonant, remember this: success isn't about proving them wrong. It's about proving to yourself that you were always right. I let the words hang there, sinking into the silence. Faces around me softened, some nodding, some blinking back tears. They may take away your seat at the table, I continued, but you can always build your own. And one day, if you choose, you might just buy the whole table back. A murmur rippled through the crowd, not laughter this time, but something closer to awe. I set my glass down, not with triumph but with peace. That night, I didn't walk away as the invisible middle child. I didn't walk away as Kate Williams, forgotten daughter of Charles. I walked away as Kate, the woman who built Everest. The woman who no longer needed permission to exist. And that was the real inheritance.